Joe Joyce and Frank Warren earlier today announced that they've come to a promotional agreement. So Joe Joyce, I always get tongue tied when I say Joe Joyce. I should just say Joyce. I'm going to try and say Joyce for the rest of this video. But yeah, anyway, so Joyce will be co-promoted by Queensbury, aka Frank Warren, and Ringstar, aka Richard Schaefer. So that announcement today was a bit of a surprise for me personally, but it makes sense. And the reason I say it makes sense is yesterday, the British Board of Boxing Control, as you probably know, announced that purse bids had been called off between a fight that they ordered for Dubois to face Joe Joyce. Oh, fucking gone and done it again. To fight Joyce. To fight for Dubois to fight Joyce for the British heavyweight title. Purse bids had been called off because they'd agreed terms, and Frank Warren will be promoting the show. So I feel like all of this happened in one negotiation, one agreement, where Joe Joyce agreed to fight Daniel Dubois under the circumstances that Frank Warren would be promoting his fights over the next few fights. Now, I say few fights because I haven't seen anywhere how long this deal is for or how many fights it's for. So whether it's 3 fights, 5 fights, 6 fights, or whether it's, 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. Now, what I will say is during the press conference earlier today, the guy hosting it, he said to either Joe Joyce's manager or Joyce himself, tell us what we can expect from you on BT Sport over the next year. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, and I probably got what he's asked completely wrong, but I do remember him saying over the next year. So whether that means it's a 1 year deal or not, I don't know. But given the way Joe Joyce has navigated his career this far, a 1 year deal would make sense. And the reason I say that is up until now, Joe Joyce has been a bit of a nomad in British boxing. He's fought on multiple promoter shows, on multiple broadcasters. And because of that, I don't feel like Joe Joyce has really capitalized on the fact that he's an Olympic silver medalist. And he hasn't really got a big fan base over here in the UK. And I feel that's got a lot to do with the fact that because he hasn't committed to a promoter or a broadcaster here in the UK, they haven't invested in him from a marketing and promotional standpoint. So I think that's kind of hindered his progress in terms of his profile in British boxing, because in Britain we love an Olympian. We love someone that medals in the Olympics, and especially if you're a fucking heavyweight, that's like that's the holy trifecta right there. And I don't know, it just feels like Joe Joyce hasn't really reached the levels from a fame and just a celebrity point of view that he may have done if he did commit to a UK promoter, and if he did commit to a broadcaster. The word hasn't really gotten out. I don't know, maybe my perception's wrong because I'm just so kind of consumed by boxing and MMA. Maybe I don't watch the kind of general kind of mainstream outlets when it comes to these kind of fighters being on them. So maybe I'm missing something, but that's just my own personal perception. Now, I'm really excited about the fight between him and Daniel Dubois, and the reason I say that is because Joe Joyce, I felt that he would not fight Dubois. Not that he's scared or anything like that. It's just because he's 33 years old and he's quite young in his professional career, even though he's quite old age-wise. I felt like they're quite highly ranked. I believe they're maybe nearly in a mandatory position for the European title. And I felt that they would bypass British level and go straight there. And it would make sense because they're in a bit of a rush. They want to express his career through. So it would make sense for him to fight for a European title, hopefully from his point of view, win that belt. And that would kind of give him a ranking at a world level with all the four main governing bodies. But he's chosen to go the British route, which I commend him for, because this is a big risk for him, because Daniel Dubois is no mug. And I'd say when it comes to Joe Joyce vs Dubois, there's high risk, low reward for Joe Joyce. And I'm not saying this because I think he's an overwhelming favourite. It's just he's got bigger and better amateur pedigree, being a silver medalist in the Olympics, and the fact that he's kind of that it's openly known that they're trying to progress him quickly because of his age, and losing to Dubois would be a major setback given the trajectory of Joe Joyce's career at the moment. Whereas Dubois is 21, and he's also had only about 8 or 9 fights or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how many pro fights he's had. Maybe 10, no more than 10. But if Dubois was to lose to Joe Joyce, it wouldn't really hinder him so much. It would just be, okay, well, we definitely know he's a prospect. We definitely know he's talented. This was a good learning experience for him, and he'll come back. Whereas with Joe Joyce, losing to Dubois, that would be a bit of a disaster. Anyway, so another thing that they mentioned in today's press conference is there's going to be another press conference, surprise, surprise, next week. And Frank Warren's going to announce a show at the O2 in July where all Nathan Gorman, Joe Joyce and Dubois will all be featuring on that card. I'm assuming that means that Joe Joyce will fight Dubois on that card in July. Gorman will fight someone, hopefully someone decent. And Gorman will then go on and fight the winner of the Dubois and Joe Joyce fight. Which is a tidy little fucking, it's not a competition, but it's a nice little thing that Frank Warren's doing there. Because he's got a decent stable when it comes to domestic level heavyweights now. And I'm looking forward to it, because over here in the UK, and especially with Frank Warren's had a bit of a change recently, because Frank Warren never puts young prospects that he's promoting in the ring together so early on in their careers. He likes to build them up, and then when they get to a certain level, then he likes to have them fight each other, but he likes them to avoid each other for as long as possible. So the fact that he's getting them in the ring together so early on in the career, and I'm talking about Dubois and Gorman here, not so much Joe Joyce, because Joyce hasn't been with Frank Warren for his entire career. I'm surprised that Frank Warren's doing it, but I suppose the landscape in boxing's changed, and Frank Warren isn't the only shark in the water, and he's got to keep up with what the competition are doing, and so he's had to change his ways a little bit. And it's good. He's reacting to what the markets want, and he's trying to deliver. So you can't knock him for that. Let me know what you guys think about Joe. Fucking done it again. Let me know what you guys think about Joyce and this decision to sign with Frank Warren. Where do you see him going next? Put your comments below. Don't forget to share this. Don't forget to like this. Don't forget to subscribe to this. And I'll catch you on the next one.